welcome. First-person shooters are pretty much everywhere, and since the mid-90s, thanks to the likes of Doom, they've been around for a long time as well. However, there has been a trend in recent years where the majority of them seem to be multiplayer online games. But what if you just want a good single-player first-person experience? Well, fortunately, there's actually quite a few of those too. And I've got a little list here of what I think are some of the best ones I can recommend to you wonderful people. So, without further ado, here are 10 fantastic first-person shooters for single players. And we're going to kick things off with Far Cry 5. Now, I could have easily said Far Cry 3, which is still absolutely fantastic. But I'm going to stick my neck out here because I actually think Far Cry 5 is better. They've modernised it nicely. First of all, they got rid of the Ubisoft towers. Big improvement. They worked at the time, but we've moved on. I love the characters and the story and the environment as well. It just all feels absolutely perfect for the game you're playing through. It's got exactly what you want from the bad guy, really portrayed well, makes you want to shoot him. And I love the new ally system. That really made it for me. I felt that was a real big improvement, borderline innovative. It looks fantastic, it plays fantastic. I like all the Far Cry games. I'm a big fan of this franchise. For me, this is up there as the best so far. The spin-off from it, New Dawn, is also worth playing, but make sure you play this one first, otherwise it will spoil the story. And as a bonus, it even seems to be one of the best fishing simulators out there as well, with the mini-games. Definitely worth a look. And from the bright, sunny environments, we're now going to go for something altogether a little bit darker. In Fear 2. I'm choosing Fear 2 because, well, I just really like it. I think some of the mechanics are just a little bit improved on the original. That said, any of the trilogy are worth playing. Now, this game is physically stuck on the 7th gen, but of course I'm assuming it's not digitally. And the story takes place 30 minutes before the conclusion of the first game. I'm not going to spoil the story, but it's very good. They managed to fix a few of the criticisms from the first game here, which I'm not trying to put you off playing. The first game's still very good, but this is just slightly better. You've got less repetitive environments, less repetitive enemies. You've got a fantastic arsenal of weapons that all actually feel like they play different, so it's worth alternating through the different weapons rather than sticking with your favourites. You've got something called reflex time, which works quite well. It's very Max Payne-esque. If I call it bullet time in first person, you'll know what I mean by that. And they've also included the ability to use mechs in this game. Now, they're not compulsory, you don't have to, you can just go through on foot if you wish. But it's just a nice little addition as well. Add all that in with some decent jump scares, and this is a game for everybody who likes shooting, who likes horror, who just likes fun. But of course, not every first-person shooter needs to have you massacring the population of a small city. Some can actually be funny. I'll give you now Portal. Another game that came out on the 7th gen but has been released consistently since. If you can get the companion collection where you can play them both, absolutely go for it. You could say it's not really a shooter, but then again the main mechanic is the Portal gun. So I'm going to put it on the list, and if you disagree, feel free to let me know. It's an exceptionally good game. It's innovative, it's different, that's why it's everywhere. It's even on the Switch now. It makes a nice change of pace from the relentless combat which we can find in many other games. It's quick-witted, the dialogue is worth listening to, the puzzle mechanics are intriguing. I can't think of any other game like the Portal games, and that's not a bad thing because I like the fact this stands out for itself and is its own unique, wonderful thing. Another great thing about first-person shooters is they can sometimes make you feel that little bit more immersed. And you don't always need a massive dozens of hours game to get fulfillment from it. Sometimes you can play a campaign, which is only 5 or 6 hours, but have it stick with you for years and years. Like this one did for me. I'm talking about the campaign for Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Now this has been remastered. Honestly, play the original, play the remaster, you can't go wrong, they're just brilliant, whatever one you want to play. Probably the most famous campaign in the Call of Duty series for an absolutely perfectly good reason. It looks amazing. At 6 hours, it's short, but you get everything you could possibly want from it. It's got a really deep story. You play as different characters, each one of them appealing in their own way. Fantastic locations. It captures the frenzy of battle perfectly. And let's face it, who can forget that sniper mission? Possibly one of the best sniper missions ever. Now, I said earlier that not every first-person shooter needs to be a frenzy of bullets, but that doesn't mean that some of them can't be, and they're not exceptionally good fun when they are. I'll give you one of my favourite first-person shooters of all time, in what I would say is the greatest FPS franchise of all time, Doom 2016. I could have easily put the original on this. I could put any Doom game on this, really, apart from maybe Doom 3. It's dark, it's gritty, it's gory. I've chosen the 2016 one because it was the first major instalment in the series for 12 years from the previous Doom 3, which wasn't as well received as others, although it's still worth a play. And it's just so good. It is full-on, frantic, non-stop, gory shooting, bullet hell action. You have a rough Doom guy, full of testosterone, full ammo clip. It's everything a modern Doom game should be. They managed to take what was loved from the 90s hit, modernise it, but still keep the core feel and everything the fans love. It's everywhere, and if you haven't got it and you haven't played it, do so. Seriously. I'm not all about remasters, remakes and refined games. I do like to play the originals too. For instance, there was a big rival for Doom back in the day. I'm talking Quake. My favourite in the series, Quake 2. Now, if you're not into the retro consoles, fear not, because it has also been enhanced. I know it's on the Switch, because that's the version I'm playing on the Switch, but I assume it's on other consoles as well. Let me know if you do. And it's still brilliant to this day. The enhanced version still keeps the feel of the original with some quality of life improvements. The original is just a very good retro game, and because we seem to be in an era at the minute where retro style games are all the rage, well, playing original retro games isn't much of a stretch, really. If you like retro style modern games, you'll like retro. But I digress. Quake 2 is set where mankind is at war with the Strog. You are part of an unsuccessful mission to invade their homeworld, left abandoned on your own. And you've got two choices: lay down and die, or shut down the Strog war machine and hope that you can save humanity. Obviously, there's only one option there, really, isn't there? Pick up a gun and take them out. We owe so much to a franchise like this, and it still plays absolutely amazingly. If you've got a Switch, get the enhanced version. If the enhanced version's available on anything else you've got, play that, because it is an improvement over the original. But it's just such good fun. It's simple, it's not overcomplicated, it's just get out there, get a big gun and start shooting. And although I've put Quake 2 on this list, it doesn't mean the original's not worth a play either. There do seem to be quite a few sci-fi-ish set shooters out there, don't there? In fact, this is another one, but trust me, it's one not to miss. Titanfall 2. I don't honestly know if the servers are still open for this on the multiplayer, but if they are, I can't imagine there's many playing it, because it's been a while. But the campaign in this is one of the best campaigns in a predominantly multiplayer game that you will ever play. You are a pilot, a uniquely skilled soldier capable of operating a Titan, which is a giant mech. Now, this is another relatively short campaign, but it's one you'll replay more than once, I promise you, and it's ever so cheap to pick this game up physically. The original Titanfall didn't have a campaign, they more than fixed it with this by giving it an amazing one. The relationship you have with the Titan itself is a part of the story. The mechanics of going from Titan to pilot and back again, fantastic. There's nothing about this campaign, actually, that I can say is bad. I like the freedom of movement to be able to change from pilot to Titan in the majority of the parts of the game. So there's some where you have to use a specific one for the story. I like the characters, I like the environments, and sometimes having a really good game that you can sit down and get through in an afternoon or two is fine, especially if it's a cheap one. If you like mech games, or if you like futuristic shooters, please do give this one a go. It's received nothing but praise this campaign, and for very good reason. It's just a shame that the developers seem so focused on Apex Legends, which is a good game, but it means that they're probably not going to make another sequel. Okay, I don't play a lot of online multiplayer, but Titanfall 3, with another campaign as good as this one, I'm definitely up for. I feel that's enough futuristic time for now, so let's get one that takes us back to an alternative 1912, with a bit of a steampunk aesthetic. BioShock Infinite. I could have easily put any BioShock on here, the trilogy is fantastic. I actually like this one the best. Might be because it's the first one I played back in the day of the trilogy. The game takes place in a floating city in the sky, and it is extremely interesting learning all about this world. It's nothing like you would expect. It's got secrets around every corner, as well as different mechanics and very strange characters. You're Booker DeWitt, a bounty hunter, but, well, let's just say that your original mission goes out the door very quickly as you discover more and more and go through various twists and turns. It's an extremely competent FPS with some great mechanics in it, but the story is the thing to focus on here. I will admit, it does get slightly overcomplicated, especially with the ending, but the journey is what it's all about, and the journey towards that slightly overcomplicated ending is brilliant. You spend the majority of the game with an ally by your side called Elizabeth. I won't tell you why she's there because I don't want to spoil the story for you, but what I will say is she is so much more than just a sidekick. She's actually a really good companion, she's useful in combat situations, and integral to the story, which will keep you playing this game, because you're going to constantly want to know what's happening next, and then you're going to be thinking over and over about what happened to try and make sense of it all. Or is that just me? I do like to try and include something a little bit different in these lists, so that they vary and give you a variety of games. And none is more different, in my opinion, than Superhot. This was originally a game that was brought out for the PS4 VR. However, it is also available just as a standard game. I got it on the Switch, and I'm talking about the standard Switch version, as I'm not a great fan of VR, it tends to give me motion sickness. Now, I know that this is a huge cliche, but innovative is the best word to sum this up. It is like no other game that I've played before. The main mechanic that makes this stand out is that things in the world only move when you, the player, move. Not just your enemies, but bullets, other objects, anything. So every single step, every single movement you make is incredibly strategic. The game is designed so that you have to try, fail and try again. That's the nature of it. But it does mean that each time you play it, you do things differently and you think about each move you take, each shot you shoot. I love the uniqueness of this game. It's got a superb surprise twist at the end with the story as well. I strongly doubt you've played anything like this before. Trust me, give it a go. And what game list would be complete if we didn't get something in there involving zombies? I'm not going to let you down on that one. Let's talk Dying Light. I'm talking about the first game here. There has been a sequel, which I'm told is very good. I just haven't played it yet. But I can tell you the first one is definitely worth picking up. As I've already said, this is a zombie game, so it takes place in an open world city, and there's been a mysterious virus, etc, etc. You know the story by now. This is not just your average survival horror though, as one of the main mechanics which you rely upon here is parkour. It's the way you get around the city, it's the way you get to objectives, and it also gives you the choice with each zombie encounter. Do you fight, or do you choose flight instead? But you do have to choose wisely. The city itself is great, it feels just like it should do. What was once a bustling, vibrant city is now overrun with the undead. It's conveniently placed that there's always parkour options to get around, which is handy, and there's a very good night and day cycle. During the daytime, the zombies are still a threat, but they're a lot more docile, they're a lot slower. If you perhaps miss a jump and end up on the streets, you can get away quite comfortably. Whereas at night, that really changes. The zombies are much more acute, they're much more aggressive. They're more liable to find you and attack you and overpower you as well. It's a different world at night, and that adds some real key mechanics to the game which keep it feeling fresh and engaging. Weapons wise, you'll find yourself largely relying on melee weapons. These are breakable, they can be repaired a limited amount of times, and I do personally rather enjoy the environmental traps. Luring a zombie into one of those is strangely satisfying. You will find later in the game you get ranged weapons as well, and in true survivor horror tradition, ammo is limited, so be cautious where you use it. It also introduces a survivor sense as well, which is something very useful. It's a bit like Eagle Vision, I suppose, in the Assassin's Creed games, highlights enemies, things of interest, stuff like that. It's a mechanic which I did find myself using more and more as the story progressed and the difficulty increased, and I would have been quite lost without in some points, so it keeps the action rolling. There's also the expected things like crafting as well. When it comes to the parkour, running and jumping, you can't just do it infinitely. You're not playing as a superhero. So you do have stamina or fitness, which you can upgrade as you go throughout, but you will find yourself running out of stamina, and you need to be very cautious, because should you be unable to run at the wrong time, you're going to get eaten. You're going to be zombie food. This game really stands out. It's been very well received, as has the sequel. Very popular game for very good reason. It's available on multiple platforms. I strongly encourage you to give it a go. Even if you're not mad on zombie games, it's just good fun. And that concludes part 1 of my top first-person shooter games. I do have a part 2 coming. I've already got it scripted, so it is going to come next week. I may even do a part 3, depending how these 2 first videos go. Have I missed off your favourite game? Do you disagree with any of my picks and think that they're rubbish games? Let me know in the comments. There's no right or wrong answer, and I'm always curious to know what you guys think. As always, I'm very grateful for your time. If you want to give the video a thumbs up, or maybe even subscribe to my channel, I'm very grateful, but the main thing is you've watched, and I really appreciate that. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Ta-da!